Another Monday Night Football matchup, this time against Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Will the Chicago Bears be able to save their season with a dub and get it done? Watch this video to find out. Before I talk about this matchup, I want to talk about my sponsor for this video, DraftKings Sportsbook. Guys, I've been betting a lot on sports over the past couple months. It's been a lot of fun too, okay? Betting a little bit on NBA Finals when they were on. Betting on, obviously, hockey too, baseball. Now it's only football that's on, but I have a lot of fun, guys, every single week doing my parlays, just picking a lot of different teams to win, like just having like a 5 or 6 team parlay going, and sometimes it has hit for me. So it's been a lot of fun trying to get these parlays going, trying to get live betting, prop betting, just betting on random stuff and trying to win some cash based on my knowledge about sports. If you guys want to be just like me and bet on sports as well, if you want the best app to do so, I would highly recommend downloading DraftKings Sportsbook. It's the #1 top-rated sportsbook app in all of America. It's based right here in the USA, so you can rest assured your funds are going to be completely safe and secure with them. You can withdraw and deposit money at any time you want at your own convenience. So really nice, really easy. I love the design, love the layout. If you are a beginner, it's really friendly, really easy to use as well, because I just started sports betting a couple months ago and I really had a good time with DraftKings, and I still am right now. So this is definitely the best app to use to bet on sports. So if you want to get it right now, there's a link down below in my description box, which you can click to download the app. And when you download it, be sure to use promo code DaWindyCity. So head on over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and check out all they have to offer, because they have a ton of different bets you can place, obviously, like live betting, prop betting, a lot of fun stuff. So be sure to find a bet that suits you the best. And if DraftKings Sportsbook is not available in your state, download the DraftKings Fantasy app, because the DraftKings Fantasy app is also giving away millions of dollars of prizes every single week. What is up, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears weekly prediction videos. This time we got a Week 10 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football, which, man, that is a good thing, okay? To be facing Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins is winless on Monday night. He has, I believe, an 0-9 record on Monday Night Football. So, I mean, I can't explain why that is. Maybe he doesn't like playing on Monday. Maybe he's just not good in front of the bright lights, because I don't think he has a good primetime record anyways. But whatever the case is, man, Kirk has struggled on Monday night. So he's going to be looking to get his first win on Monday night. And the Chicago Bears are going to be looking to turn their season around, because this is a must win for the Chicago Bears. Make no mistake about it, guys. The Chicago Bears now have lost 3 straight games in a row after starting the season 5-1. We are now sitting at 5-4 and not even in a playoff berth, okay? And we're slipping further and further away from the playoff talk after each consecutive loss. And the worst thing also, guys, is that we weren't even competitive in 2 of the 3 losses, okay? The loss against the Rams and last weekend against the Titans, we got pretty much blown out in both of those games, which you cannot do against other playoff contenders, other great teams. You have to at least compete with them, show that you can contend with some of the best teams in the NFL. But the Chicago Bears showed that they could not do that purely because of how bad their offense is. So right now, all the energy, all the excitement of that 5-1 start, it is officially gone, and fans are starting to question if Matt Nagy is going to be fired at the end of the season, perhaps even Ryan Pace. So a lot of people right now, their jobs could be on the line. So this is a must-win game for a lot of people. I mean, if you lose to the Minnesota Vikings, to drop down to being 5-5, lose 4 straight games in a row after starting the season 5-1, that would pretty much end your season. I mean, I don't see any way in which the Bears would climb out of that hole. So this is a must-win game for the Chicago Bears if they want to have any chance of making the playoffs. If Matt Nagy maybe wants to keep his job, I mean, I don't know what the Bears management is thinking. Maybe they're going to keep him no matter what. But as a fan base, I mean, most of us are probably going to want Matt Nagy gone if he doesn't make the playoffs this year. So, I mean, it's a must-win game for him to at least get some faith from the fan base back. If I look at our next opponent, though, the Minnesota Vikings, beating this team is not going to be an easy task at all, okay? Even though the record is 3-5, don't let that record fool you, because they're playing some pretty damn good football as of late. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Packers and the Lions, both divisional opponents, which, by the way, guys, that Packers win, I mean, that was pretty damn impressive. To beat the Packers 28-22 with Dalvin Cook scoring 4 touchdowns, man. By the way, I mean, Dalvin Cook is on a historic 2-game run right now, okay? He scored 6 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He has almost 500 all-purpose yards. So Dalvin Cook is like on a roll right now, doing things that we have maybe never seen before. And overall, the Vikings offense is looking pretty damn good right now because Kirk Cousins is not being forced to do that much. Which, speaking about Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings offense, let me give you guys some stats on the Vikings offense right now. So the Vikings offense currently, they're number 11 in yards per game. They average 382 yards per game. They're number 12 in points per game. They average 27.1 points per game. They're the number 3 rushing offense and number 25 passing offense. They're number 7 in DVOA. They're number 1 in yards per carry. So really good run game. They average 5.5 yards per carry. They're number 3 in the NFL in rushing first down percentage. So a good portion of their first downs come from running the football, obviously. And they're also number 1 in the league in yards per play. 6.6 yards per play. Guys, this is an offense that relies purely on their running back. Okay, Dalvin Cook, it's pretty much the same offense we saw. Maybe not the same offense, but it's very similar to the last offense we saw in the Tennessee Titans. Okay, the Tennessee Titans, they relied very heavily on Derrick Henry. And when Derrick Henry was not working, the rest of the Titans offense really did not do much of anything. They had less than 300 total yards because we bottled up Derrick Henry for the majority of that game. And it's pretty much the same thing for the Minnesota Vikings offense. When Dalvin Cook is on a roll, when Dalvin Cook is carrying the team on his back, this offense looks very damn explosive. But when Dalvin Cook is not doing much of anything, when he's not really a big factor, and Kirk Cousins has to really handle the load with the passing attack, that's when the offense does struggle. But if I look at Dalvin Cook's stats right now, I mean, they're among the best that I've ever seen through 9 weeks in the NFL. I mean, I cannot believe these numbers. So he has 858 total rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging 6 yards per carry. He has a long of 70. Obviously, I talked about his last 2 games. I mean, he has 6 touchdowns, almost 500 total all-purpose yards in his last 2 games. These are insane, out-of-this-world numbers. Like, few running backs in the history of the NFL through 9 weeks have put up these numbers. So clearly, I mean, Dalvin Cook, he's having damn near an MVP season right now. He has the speed, the agility, the vision, the power that you want in your running back. I mean, obviously, he's not the biggest receiving threat in this league at the running back spot, but as a pure running back in the NFL, he's about the best that you can possibly get right now. Probably even better than Derrick Henry just because of his speed and his agility. So, I mean, Dalvin Cook, that's going to be a tough guy to stop. If I look at the other guys on this offense, I mean, Justin Jefferson is probably their other biggest weapon. Okay, 21-year-old from LSU, Justin Jefferson. This guy is a rookie, but he's been one of the best receivers in the NFL so far. Really a great draft pick by the Minnesota Vikings. If I look at his numbers right now, I mean, he has 627 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. But one really insane stat is that he's averaging 18 yards for every reception. Think about that, 18 damn yards per reception. I don't have the rankings for that, but I believe that's top 5 in the NFL. He is a big play threat going down the field. He is one of the faster guys in the league. He has agility, a lot of lateral quickness as well. He can put moves on you in the open field. So when this guy does get the ball deep, I mean, he's a tough guy to really catch. So the Bears can absolutely not let Justin Jefferson get behind them in the second level. That would be a bad thing. But beyond Justin Jefferson, obviously Adam Thielen. We know what Adam Thielen does in the NFL. He's been more of a red zone threat this year. He has 7 touchdowns, not the most yards, at least not as much as Justin Jefferson, but he's still been very involved in the passing attack. If we look at the tight ends, I mean, the tight ends are not really a big part of this offense. I mean, both Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph have under 200 receiving yards each, so neither of them have really been a big threat in the passing game, but they have been pretty active in the red zone. Both of them do have touchdowns, and they are involved in a lot of the red zone plays. So look out for these guys in the red zone, but otherwise, I don't think they're going to be a big factor in this game. If I do look at the quarterback now, Kirk Cousins, man, he has been wildly inconsistent, okay? And that's pretty much, that's what Kirk Cousins is, okay? I really do not believe he's a good quarterback in this league. Yeah, he can be decent with a really good O-line, with a really good run game, with a good defense behind him, but can't most quarterbacks in the NFL do that? I mean, Kirk Cousins really is nothing truly special, but if I look at his numbers right now, I mean, he's passed for 1,855 passing yards. He has 15 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a passer rating of 97.7. So pretty good passer rating, pretty decent touchdown numbers. But again, those turnovers are really killing him right now. Having 10 turnovers, some of them in really crucial situations, that has put this offense behind in a lot of games. Looking at the Vikings defense now, their defense is not nearly as deadly or scary as their offense is. So they rank number 29 in yards per game allowed. They allow 412.9 yards per game. They're number 25 in points allowed per game. They allow 29.3 points per game. They're the number 30 passing defense, the number 20 run defense. They're number 6 though in the red zone and on third down. So in the red zone and on third down, they are pretty damn good, but in yards per pass attempt allowed, they're number 27 in the NFL. They allow 7.8 yards per pass attempt. So through the air, in early downs especially, they have been pretty bad. A big reason for that is because they have really young and inexperienced cornerbacks playing on the team right now. They have Cameron Dantzler and Jeff Gladney playing some pretty big roles on the team, and they don't have a single cornerback on the roster right now that starts that's been in the NFL for more than 3 years. I mean, all of these guys are super young, don't have a lot of experience, so that is really showing up late in games for the Vikings. I mean, they're allowing a lot of big plays going down the field. They haven't been good on early downs, haven't been good through the air at all. Both Dantzler and Gladney, they've allowed passer ratings each of over 130. So, you know, quarterbacks have been having a really good day targeting these young rookies. If I look at Holton Hill, he's also been allowing a passer rating of 102. And there's not a cornerback on this team that truly does scare me. Now, the safeties, though, are a totally different story, okay? Back deep in the secondary, both their strong safety and their free safety, okay? Obviously, Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris, they're one of the best safety duos in the NFL right now. I mean, Harrison Smith has 2 interceptions. Both Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith are phenomenal in run support. So running the football against these guys, I mean, that's going to be tough when they do come in to help out with the run, and some of them do blitz on occasion too. So both these guys are physical, hard hitting. They can lay the wood on you. So our receivers have to watch out for these guys back there in the secondary. But overall, you know, great safeties, not so good cornerbacks. And if I look at the front seven also, there's not really a lot of stars on this front seven anymore, because Danielle Hunter, he went down for the season with some type of injury, so he's not going to be playing, and he's definitely their best pass rusher. So not having him, I mean, that's truly a benefit for the Chicago Bears. But also they traded away their other star pass rusher, Yannick Ngakoue, okay? They traded him away because I guess they thought they were going to tank, but that ended up not being the case because they won 2 games in a row after they traded away Yannick. So not a lot of star talent on the front seven. I mean, Eric Kendricks is a fantastic coverage guy, a linebacker, so he's going to be a guy to watch out for. But otherwise, not really a lot of stars on the front seven, and not a lot of guys that truly do scare me. But this is the Chicago Bears offensive line we're talking about. So obviously, our offensive line is going to find a way to struggle against these guys. Which, speaking about the Chicago Bears offense, man, let me give you guys some stats on the Chicago Bears offense. Unfortunately, I mean, I have to do this even though I don't want to. We're number 29 in the NFL in yards per game. We average 317 yards per game. We're number 29 also in points per game. We average 19.8 points per game. We're number 27 in the NFL in DVOA. We're number 21 in passing offense, number 32 in rushing offense, worse in the NFL. And I'm not going to give you guys more stats on this Bears offense, because just know that we're pretty much bad at everything. There's not a single thing this Bears offense does good right now. I mean, if you look at the last game the Bears played against the Tennessee Titans, one of the worst defenses, one of the worst pass rushes too, we allowed Nick Foles to be pressured on over 45% of the snaps that he took, and we didn't score a single point until garbage time against a defense this bad. So if you struggle so much against a defense of that caliber, I mean, I don't know what to say about the Chicago Bears offense. It's a combination of terrible play calling and also one of the worst offensive lines, talent-wise, that I've ever seen in Chicago Bears history. Speaking about the offensive line, guys, I mean, our offensive line, thankfully, this weekend, it should look at least a little bit better because we are getting some key people back, and we did also make a pretty big signing, okay? Guard Eric Kush, he's probably going to be in and hopefully called up for this game, so that'll be a big addition to the interior of our offensive line. Cody Whitehair, I'm crossing my fingers, he's going to be back as well. Jason Spriggs, he's also been activated from the COVID list, so he might be playing at right tackle in replace of Rashad Coward. Hopefully we don't have to see Rashad Coward play in this game at all. Sam Mustipher, I don't know what the deal is with him right now. The injury list has not been revealed yet, so hopefully Sam Mustipher is going to be back too. But whatever the case is, I mean, we are going to get at least some help this weekend for the offensive line. We're most likely not going to have, you know, Alex Bars, Arlington Hambright, and Rashad Coward playing for us, because all those guys, they all had pretty poor games. So hopefully we don't have to see them again this upcoming Monday. If I look at the running back situation right now, it is not good because David Montgomery most likely has a concussion, okay? I think he entered the concussion protocol, and as of now, I mean, it's looking like he's not going to play this weekend. So I would assume Lamar Miller is going to be brought up. I mean, we signed this guy to the practice squad for a reason, for times like this, because we don't have really another true running back on the roster, okay? Ryan Nall, he's a fullback. He did have a pretty good game, a couple decent carries, but that wasn't garbage time. And obviously Cordell Patterson, he's a one-cut back, more of a gadget back. So you're probably going to call up Lamar Miller. Let's see what this guy has. I'm not expecting anything crazy because we don't have good run blocking at all. But let's see what happens. And last thing I would say about this offense is that Allen Robinson is having himself a year despite all the troubles of the offense. Okay, even with how bad the quarterback situation has been, how bad the offensive line has been, and the fact that we don't have really any passing attack right now, he still has 712 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's by far our biggest threat on this offense. If I look at the Bears defense now, they're number 9 in the NFL in yards allowed per game. They allow 335 yards per game. They're number 7 in the NFL in points allowed per game. They allow 21.1 points per game. We're the number 7 pass defense and number 14 run defense. And the most important stats, guys, is that we're number 1 in the red zone and on third down still. Okay, we've been number 1 for a good time now, and that's not changed. Okay, even with how bad our offense has been, with how long we've been on the field, this defense has still been elite at forcing, the other team off the field. So it's been a really damn good defense. We're also number 4 in DVOA. There's not really much I want to talk about with this defense because I think everything I want to say has already been said by me. Okay, we have elite cornerbacks. We have safeties playing at a pretty high level too. One thing about Eddie Jackson, though, I don't like is his tackling right now. Okay, Eddie Jackson, he has to clean up his tackling because he's had a few now really big missed tackles. So I want more effort from Eddie Jackson on those tackles. But otherwise, I mean, front 7 has been solid. Roquan Smith is having, the year of his life. He could be an all-pro this year. Danny Trevathan's rebounded very well. Khalil Mack, one of the best edge rushers in the game right now. Robert Quinn not really putting much of anything on the stat sheet. He is helping out with pressures, but hopefully it does come through on the stat sheet because we are paying him a lot of money. So hopefully, Robert Quinn shows up at some point. But one pretty big thing I have to talk about is that Roy Robertson Harris is out for the season with the injury. So Mario Edwards is going to be filling in for him full time as a starter, which honestly is not the worst thing in the world because Mario Edwards has been playing out of his mind amazing in the few snaps he's gotten on this defense. Okay, he has 2 sacks, 12 pressures, playing fantastic run defense as well. He's been one of the best run defenders on the Bears team right now. So we're probably not going to miss a step with Mario Edwards in here, but let's hope he continues that great play. If there's one thing I want to criticize, though, this Bears defense for is that they're not getting enough turnovers per game. They're not getting enough takeaways. They only average 1 takeaway per game. That's number 25 in the NFL, and that's not good enough for a defense like the Chicago Bears defense. So hopefully we get more turnovers, more sacks, more big-time plays, but otherwise, this defense is pretty damn good. With all that being said, let me start talking now about the matchups in this game. What are the big matchups to look out for? What are the big matchups on the Vikings side and the Bears side? And probably the biggest one of the entire game is going to be Dalvin Cook versus the Bears front 7. Okay, if the Bears front 7 can do a similar job on Dalvin Cook as it did on Derrick Henry, it's going to be a good day by the Bears defense. It's going to make it a lot easier to stop whatever the hell Kirk Cousins does, because if you shut down this rushing attack, not shut down, but at least limit it, it makes it so much more easier to play defense against this explosive Vikings offense. It's going to be a really tough challenge for the Bears front 7. I mean, it's going to require a collective team effort to stop a guy like Dalvin Cook at the pace he's been playing at over the past 2 weeks. So it's going to be tough, but I do have faith that the Bears defense can at least do a decent job against him, because the Bears run defense has been a lot better over the past few weeks than it was to begin the year. Okay, they only allowed 97 total rushing yards to the Titans last week, which the Titans have one of the best rushing attacks in all of football. So I do trust Bilal Nichols, Akeem Hicks, and now Mario Edwards to do at least a decent job against this guy, but they're going to have to win the line of scrimmage immediately. Okay, they're going to have to be powerful, strong, and bully people. Otherwise, Dalvin Cook is going to run all over us. And also, the tackling in the secondary, man, it has to be better. Okay, if Eddie Jackson's coming in on run support, you have to wrap up around your guy and bring him down, unlike you did with Derrick Henry. So tackling form, tackling execution is going to be huge against a guy like Dalvin Cook. Moving now to the Bears offensive line versus the Vikings pass rush. That's also going to be a huge matchup. And it's a matchup that most teams in the NFL would win, going up against the Vikings pass rush. But we are the Chicago Bears, remember. We have a terrible offensive line, perhaps the worst in Bears history. So I don't expect the Bears offensive line to have a great showing against them, even though their best pass rusher right now is probably Ifedi Odenigbo, okay, however you say his name. He has 2.5 sacks. He's been a pretty decent guy on the edge for them, but they don't have Yannick anymore. They don't have Daniil Hunter. They don't have star guys on this pass rush. But with how bad the Bears offensive line is right now, I expect the edge to go to the Minnesota Vikings. And finally, my last matchup of the game is going to be Khalil Mack versus Riley Reiff, the left tackle. If you guys remember this matchup back in 2018, Khalil Mack, you guys remember with one hand, he completely just tossed aside Riley Reif so effortlessly. That was a play that went viral, okay? So ever since then, I mean, I've looked at Riley Reif differently, okay, with how KHALIL Mack just completely manhandled him. So in the past, I mean, KHALIL Mack has won this matchup, but Riley Reif also is no slouch, okay? He's allowed 0 sacks on the year, only 6 pressures. He has been a pretty good left tackle so far. But if I look at KHALIL Mack, man, his stats right now, he has 6.5 sacks, 37 quarterback pressures. His run defense also has been elite. He's been one of the best edge rushers in the entire game right now. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually wins this matchup. If KHALIL Mack does dominate like he has in the past, it could be a long day for Kirk Cousins, okay? Because if pressure does get in Kirk Cousins' face, he's not the most calm, the most accurate under pressure. So hopefully KHALIL Mack does win this matchup. And finally, it is time for my score prediction for this game. Who do I think is going to win this matchup? And guys, I have the Chicago Bears going into Soldier Field on Monday Night Football in front of the bright lights and getting a dub by the score of 14-13. Okay, that's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers in the comment section. Okay, Minnesota Vikings fans, I'm sorry. Okay, you guys do have a good team. I totally get that. We're on a losing streak right now. The Chicago Bears, they don't look like a good football team at all, okay, over the past 3 games. So I do get why people are going to pick the Vikings to win. And obviously the Vikings are the favorites in Vegas as well. So totally fine to pick the Vikings in this one. But looking at how the Chicago Bears match up with the Minnesota Vikings, especially on defense, I think we do have a very good chance to win this game just purely based on defense, okay? I think our defense does actually have a chance to score a touchdown in this one, because if we stop Dalvin Cook, which is a tough thing to do, obviously. We're not going to completely stop him, by the way. If we can limit him to having a day like Derrick Henry did last weekend, I mean, I like our chances of limiting this Vikings offense, because this Vikings offense against good secondaries, they have been pretty bad, okay? They probably only played one good secondary so far this entire season, the Indianapolis Colts. And against the Colts, Kirk Cousins threw 3 interceptions. So if you limit Dalvin Cook, if you get pressure in Kirk Cousins' face, if you do a decent job on the weapons they have on the outside, obviously Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, you know, you can limit this Vikings offense to not scoring a lot of points and perhaps forcing Kirk into throwing some pretty poor throws and perhaps even some interceptions. So I think our defense will do a decent job against the Vikings offense. If I look at our offense, though, I don't expect anything at all from this offense, because how can I, okay? Against the worst pass rush in the NFL, they didn't do anything for an entire 3 quarters. So I do think they get 14 points, but I actually have one of those touchdowns coming from the defense. So I only have the Bears offense scoring 1 touchdown in this entire game. And I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to think, because I don't see how this offense is going to be better with what I saw on the field last week. So I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but I don't know if I'm going to be, because this offense most likely is not going to be that much better. But we can still win on the strength of our defense. If I go to my offensive MVP for this game, then I actually have that being Eddie Jackson, okay? That's not a typo. I have Eddie Jackson being the offensive MVP of this game for the Chicago Bears, because I have him scoring a touchdown, a pick 6, another one. I don't know why, it's just a gut feeling, but going up against the Vikings, he has been pretty good over the past couple of years, and I just think that he's going to get into the end zone somehow, just because of how great the pass rush can be in this game, okay? The Vikings offensive line, it's decent, but it's also not elite by any stretch of the imagination in run blocking. So we can get pressure on Kirk Cousins, and we can turn this pressure into a touchdown, hopefully, for Eddie Jackson. My MVP on defense then is not going to be Eddie Jackson, even though it probably would be if he did get a pick 6, but I'm not going to do the same thing. So I actually have Mario Edwards being the MVP on defense, because he's played really good in the few snaps he's gotten with the Chicago Bears. And, you know, in place of Roy Robertson-Harris, I think he can do a decent job. So I have him getting 1 sack and also a forced fumble too, because why not? Okay, this dude, I love his motor, I love his drive. He really does play with a lot of passion. So I think he's going to have a good game on Monday night. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up my video now. It's getting pretty long, so I'm going to end it right here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What do you think the score of this game is going to be? Obviously, it is a must-win for the Chicago Bears. I know some of you are hoping for a higher draft pick, but screw that, man. I mean, I really do not care about draft picks at this point in time, because I still have at least a little bit of hope left for the season, especially with how they might be adding another team to the playoffs in both conferences. So there could be an 8th seed in the conference, in which case the Chicago Bears could still get that. So I'm still rooting for the Bears to win this, to make the playoffs. A big shout out to all my Hall of Fame channel members on my YouTube channel. So Kristen Megan, Wyatt Freiberger, Keith Luckett, Stacks, Michael Horwitz, ACG, Ryan Pass, and Scotty McLean. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are the best. And if you want to become a member, there's a link down below. You can get some extra benefits, interact with me a little bit more, and a lot of other fun stuff. So become a member if you want to. But let's hope the Chicago Bears win this. I'm praying to God, please keep Kirk Cousins' record on Monday Night Football perfect. 0-10, baby. Let's get it. As always, bear down.